I wish we did.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Simple Real Estate Club. We started this group as a way to collaborate and for friendship to look at, we all have the same interest in real estate investment, and it has grown now to a point where we're ready to start a project and work on analyzing investment properties together and decide how the group want to move forward. So with that, we have a few people that are missing here, but we're going to go ahead and start with what we have. So go ahead, Mark, if you want to present.
Yeah, sure. Just what I was saying was that I talked with both Jimmy and Charlie about how to go about all that. And because in my mind, I was thinking about how to have a bunch of people, a lot of people made the creation of the structure more difficult, sort of, than if you have an LLC with one person or two people. Jimmy, as well as Charlie, tend to think that it's more organic the way we should grow, meaning if we find a project, and I think you said that the other day also, that we, instead of trying to create this whole thing pre-made, we could go by templates, basically, and do it like that. So one thing that kind of came out of those discussions was that, yes, we probably can go the organic way, meaning, we get a project, the project gets presented. When we're ready, at the same time, we create the LLC with basic rules for now, which doesn't mean that later it's not going to get built upon, but just in order to start the project, since most of the projects we should get at the beginning are going to be either not involving a lot of investment or no investment, basically. So we were there. So then with Charlie, we were talking about what do we need, though, to start? And there were a few questions like, okay, who would do what, basically? One thing I think we could do is, instead of asking people, what do you want, what are you going to do for the group? We could create almost like little groups, subgroups, of people who take care of one aspect, and other group might take care of another aspect. Because there's going to be things like okay, there's looking for properties, assessing the properties, there's maintaining a bank account, there's maintaining also taxes for tax purposes stuff, there is let's not call it marketing, but all the stuff that's related to all that. So there is a bunch of different areas, right, that still need to be taken care of. So if we can, maybe the first step would be to say, okay, who's going to be able to do what with who, basically. Like if Charlie says, I'm going to look for houses, and, I know, for instance, that I've done a lot of renovation and I know how to look at houses in that thing. I could be saying, okay, Charlie and me, we're going to be looking at, what's viable, what's not viable, what's, what could be interesting, and so on. So we were kind of there in terms of the talk of how to do it, basically.
I think that makes sense. Jean, go ahead.
So what I was thinking about is, because in one aspect we all have some parts of it that we're learning, and then we also have some of us that are familiar and stuff. But for the most part, and I get what you're saying, but for the most part, we'll end up doing the same thing if you think about it, and just helping each other with it. For example, Charlie have found multiple properties in New Orleans, of course. I recently had a couple in New York, right? But when we bring it together, we analyze it together. So in that instant, it's like we kind of all doing the same thing, but we're helping each other and growing and learning it. But eventually, if you found a property, Mark, and you bring it to the table, we'll jump in just the same way as Victor finds a property, or Yanni finds a property. We all jump in. Now, I think you are more referring to for the organization aspect for the LLC.
Yes, yes.
And that's why Jimmy kind of went on the template just to kind of show you this could be so simple to organize it, just put certain names, depending on, and that would be a conversation to have. And it's probably more on the experience aspect, right? For instance, Jimmy's experience and knowledge in comparison to mine, or any of you guys in that field, it's a little different. He's certainly much more, so he might be deemed the president or whatever. I don't know, but that's a conversation to have. But as far as the task at hand, I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Gene. I think that this group, started out. This is mainly we weren't sure what we were gonna do.
But
We're interested in real estate, so we're kind of helping each other. Staff would bring property, and then we will kind of go over it together, or Jimmy went over it, or Charlie, or Gene, and then tell her if this is good or not, or
Yeah.
what to do next. It was mainly kind of an advisory, helping each other among the members.
right,
And also it's for the camaraderie and friendship. It wasn't like for an investment. And now we're at a point where Charlie has some properties, good deals. We could actually do this. And Jimmy has the tools to analyze and see, hey, we could do creative financing with the 0 down payment.
Yep.
And that sounds good. We're not talking about a lot of money. It's just like the first property you guys did. We ended up buying that course for $1,000, whatever. But what I'm saying is that whatever money comes in, again, we're not talking about a lot of money, and then the group just decide, what do we spend it for?
Right.
And it could, to go to the next project, or maybe there's something that's good cause that we feel passionate about, we want to use it for, whatever that the group decide. We're not talking about making a lot of money for everyone here. There's a lot of people. So I that's what Jimmy mentioned about the trash LLC, where you create the LLC on the fly for a certain property, and then when it's done, you delete it. So it's not it's kind of a piggybacking on the LLC that he already has in place, so that it's not a lot of money to set it up.
No, and yeah, that's what I was talking about also. But I'm just saying, as we grow, if we grow, that's why it's kind of organic right now.
Yeah.
But as we grow, we might hit a point basically where we're gonna have to get more involved with all that, basically.
Yeah, and I think that's where the growth aspect comes into play, right? For example, when we first started out, it was conversations, right? And then we got from conversations to we actually did a property, and we're able to use the profit from the property to invest in something that would benefit the group. So it's gonna be more, and I do think that we are gonna grow, and I do think that there are great potentials to make a lot of money. We're not focusing on the money because, one of the things that's really, relevant with this group is it's all about value and growth, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the main focus. But I don't think we're not going to make a lot of money at all. Right now, it's not the main focus. So we're not going after a $5 million house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And try to get, 500,000 in the profit from it. But that's where the group comes in, and we all growing. So bringing the properties and working it together, and as we set this format with the templates that Jimmy has shown, everything will fall into play, right? I mean, how many of us is there in the group at the moment?
How many of us?
How many what? What was the question again?
How many members are in the group as of now, as of for the
10.
moment?
10, right?
So if
I
we
think
get
there were
something-
10 people and there are 5 here, so it's only half the
Yeah.
group.
Yeah, but here's the point I'm saying is we all working together for some cause. Let's say we did run into something that will bring a lot of money. Let's say we did want to distribute the funds and so on and so forth. Well, it's not a big deal, right? I think where Mark is concerned is, okay, well, as far as investing, as far as how to separate everything, like if I invested more money and whatnot, are we still gonna divide it by the 10th, or how are we gonna do it? That's where the whole breakdown comes into play, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, no, I understand. Look, I'm going to give you a couple of examples.
Huh?
So say we start a deal and, you know, somebody wants, like, we're going to reinvest. Charlie
Yeah.
says, let's invest it into the, you know, shelter for women and children thing. And somebody else said, no, I'd rather, okay. So if there's a difference of opinion, for instance, in a certain case,
Yeah.
how do we resolve it? You know, do we have something in place that says, well, we'll just take a vote and decide what happens? You
Yeah,
know?
I think we should take a
Yeah.
vote.
Take a vote.
Yanni, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is why I was coming here. You know, I want to work with you guys. I want to learn real estate, and I'm also connecting with people. The reason why I'm still intrigued here is because we're still trying to figure out what we're gonna do. So if we create the LLC, what you guys saying, it's only per project. Because if we create
Right.
an LLC, I have houses that I'm looking into thinking like I'm trying to figure out and trying for them to want to sell it. Once they want to sell it, I want to bring it to this group so you could tell me
Right.
what to do next. And I also have property management. I have this guy that has 10 houses. He wants to go to Mexico. He wants somebody to manage it. I have no experience on that, but I want to learn. So, and he told me, let's start with one house. I'll give it to you. You could rent it if you want to, or you could do Airbnb. So I want to bring that to you guys. So I was wondering if you could do it with an LLC with you guys, or you guys are we gonna do an LLC and then we're gonna branch out to each individually. You know what I mean? Because I
We're
want
not
to
there
know if,
yet as far as the technical part, Yanni. I think
So-
we should just
and it will be one project at a time with the LLC,
Correct.
like you say.
Correct. And I
yeah,
think that's
Jimmy
what
has
Jimmy
this
is saying.
thing where he has an LLC and he call it Trash LLC, where you create an LLC on the fly, piggybacking on the LLC that he already has. So when the
Okay.
project is done, the LLC is gone. So it's like one project at a time.
At a
Because
time.
right now this is very small. We're still learning together, growing together. That's the purpose of our group at this point. But
Right.
eventually, when we have more knowledge, we can expand more. There's more money in the pot. We may do something more. But at this
Okay.
point, we're not at that point yet. So
So,
All right.
Yanni, let me ask you, because it's funny that you should mention that gentleman has 10 properties and he wants you to manage it.
Because he doesn't know, he doesn't have anybody he could trust, but he sees me, I want to grow, I'm into
Right.
this real estate. He's like, you're smart. And I know because he rents them super cheap, like four in Palm Desert. I don't know how in California is expensive. Palm Desert is like a retirement place where people have money. A
Right.
4-bedroom apartment, he's renting it for $1,200. I'm like, minimum you could rent him like $2,000, $2,500. You know, he's really super cheap because as long as he gets only the payment of the house, he's okay with it. And I was talking to him, even Airbnb, there's Coachella Fest, you know, there's the country events and then the motorcycle events. Only for those events, you could do it $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month, or even for the weekend. As I was telling him that, he's like, damn, you know a lot. I'm like, because I've been following the market for this past 2 years that I've been here in the States. And he's like he's like, I want to trust somebody. And he's like, and I'm going more towards you. And he's like, I want to start with one house first, which is in North India. He's like, you could Airbnb it, you could rent it for the whole year. What do you think is best? So I'm all like, you know, I'm trying to like see what I can do with it because he's already seen me in that aspect, right?
Good.
So
Well,
if
that's
I
good.
start with one property, then becoming a property management for those 10 houses, you
Yeah.
know, that's what I was thinking. Like if I could bring that to you guys, like what can
Oh.
I do with these houses?
Look, here's the thing. Why not start it?
Mm-hmm.
Why not start it? Right now, we're working on
Yeah,
the
I
real
am
estate
going to
deal.
start it. I just
Yeah.
don't know how to, if Airbnb or just a monthly rental house. You know, he just
Oh.
said, he just told me, I just want you to do what's best for it.
Rini, you're muted.
So here's the rest that you could, and I'm only sharing this part because I'm actually doing the same thing. I have 11 properties, and I'm just selling one right now that are basically very similar. I started out with one, which was one that I used to live in, and now they trusted me. We've seen how well I did with the one, and it was like, here's 10 more, right?
Mhm.
So he sees
Yeah.
the potential in you and he's
Yeah.
trusting that you have the right direction. Well, you could trust in yourself as well. For example, you saw how you saw the potential for Airbnbs for those specific ones in their location. Well,
Because they're
just
close
to
to
say,
the Coachella Fest, yes.
right, okay, well, set that up. Don't wait. Set that
Take
up. He gave you
take
the green light. If he gave you the green light, you go ahead and start that up, right? So what you do is get the documents together. Hey, so this is what we're gonna need, this is what we're gonna need, this is what we're gonna need. See where he goes with it. If he says, okay, great, then you know what? Once you start to get to the point where you're gonna go ahead and take it over, and it's okay, right? Also make sure that you know what your management fees are, right? Get that all in writing and get going. He already trusts you,
But
Yeah.
also,
right?
like,
So why not? Just go ahead. Go ahead, Mark.
yeah, no, I was gonna say, this is almost like your project. I think in this kind of situation, you would come here and, getting advice basically
Yeah.
from us on how to run it, as opposed to a project that we all would have together.
I
Right.
still want to do that because it's two
Yeah.
different aspects of flipping a house and property manage it, you know?
Yeah.
I think
So
property management is so much easier than flipping a house.
and you know what?
Yeah.
It's actually the reverse. Actually, because when you flip a house, you're done with it. With the property management, you're gonna be there for a while, right? But I'll tell you what I learned, and I've been doing it for a little bit now, and I'm still learning. But always find the best way to make it easy on you, so you don't have to lose your hair, right?
Yes,
One
that's
thing
a
that I
point.
did, yeah, one thing that I did on my first property, which came handy, now that I have 11, is I found handymen that I could trust. And now because I trust them and they trust me, now they trust my handyman, right? So now if I have one call for one property, right? Hey Gene, this person such and such and such and such. Okay, cool. I'm gonna send Keith. There's no problem because they know Keith. So guess who doesn't have to go over there, right? Most of the time, property owners don't like being landlords because, well, we gotta get the calls and then the toilet and this and that. Well, they don't have to do that. That's what the property management is for. Well, now you divert that attention to your handyman that's gonna fix it. So you gather your group, you gather your team, right? So what I did in the neighborhood that all of the properties are, I gathered several different handymen. I have somebody for HVAC, I have somebody for plumbing, I have somebody for uh, literally everything, right? And as the portfolio started growing, I would introduce each property to each specific individual that I would select for them, right? For example, I would have Keith for one property. Excuse me.
Okay.
I would have Keith for one property, and I would have, let's say, Mike for another property. So if something happens, it's nothing but a phone call. Right now, you're managing the documentation, you're monitoring the transaction. What's going on? What's wrong with it? What is it going to cost? And so on and so forth, right? The plus also is because you're giving them jobs, they're giving you a lower cost, which benefits the property owner, right? So because of that, you're always in a positive. Even when it's an expensive project, they know that if they go elsewhere, it's going to be so much more. So they'd rather go to you. And sometimes they'll say, oh, you know what? Maybe we should check out somebody else. Go ahead. You got to come right back to you. You see that?
That's
So
true.
now
You
you
create
gather,
the relationships. Yeah.
right. So you build a relationship, you build up a team. Now your handyman is always going to look for you. Got anything for me today? Right? If you have 10 buildings, there's always going to be something.
So
Right.
Yanni,
There's always going to be something.
yeah, the first thing though for this particular owner, you need to create a proposal in terms of like, because the property is occupied with
It's
very
not.
cheap. It's not.
There
It's-
the 10 he has, they are occupied, but he's getting this new one. That's why he wants to give that one to me. He's already closing the deal. He's like, we'll start with this one because he's like, I'm scared that if you start you know, like, because I don't know the laws of the raising the rent and everything. Because I told him, I send him, on the same region. I told him, look at this house, four houses, 5 houses. It's like 4,000. This one is 3,500. This one is 2,500 with with 3 rooms. And he's like, wow. I already showed him all of that. He's like, but I'm afraid if I'm church and then I don't know, we're 1,200 and I do 2,000. I don't know if I'll get in trouble. I don't know the laws either. So, you know, like I'm not a realtor either. So if you know, he's like, if we partner together and we start with the new owners, you know, like, and stuff like that. So I gotta figure that out. But we told me with this new one, you could start with however you want because it's out of scratch. Nobody, you know, we don't have tenants, we don't have anything. So he's like, I'll let you manage this one and we'll
Yeah.
see how we go from there.
Yeah.
Right? So, and because I don't either want to disrupt the other ones yet because I don't know how will they respond and I don't know the laws. I have to figure out the laws, how much you can manage it because he said they're being the lease tenants, the newest ones, it's been there for 5 years. So I believe I cannot just raise them out of nowhere, right? I could raise them yearly, but I don't
Yeah,
know if I could raise them to the marketplace right now
no,
because I don't think it will make sense either.
it's gonna be a gradual process, but you have
Yeah.
to have that discussion with them and give them the option. And
Mhm.
generally because if you raise it too high, too quick, yeah, they can, have an issue, even though in the market it shows you. And in fact, you don't even have to go too far to see it, right? You can go to Zillow and type in the address. It'll tell you the rental option range for that property already as it is, right? So
And that's how he
you
wants.
don't
He
have to do
wants me
that
to
part.
help him on that aspect, and I don't know how to help it without me being a realtor. You know,
Do you
so
have to be a realtor?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what
Honestly,
I'm
this is
saying.
why
You
I
see?
kind of once he gives me the
So
addresses. Well, I
yeah,
already have the address of this new house, but the addresses of new house, I wanted to bring it to you guys to help me out figure it out how I could
okay.
do it. You
So
know,
why
because
don't we start with this, right? So this new house, it's completely vacant, right?
it's
And
vacant.
so the plan is trying to figure out if you want to do an Airbnb or if you want to do a regular rental.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's put it together. What would be more beneficial? Obviously, on a depending on the location, if that's one of the ones that's in the prime
Because it's
location,
in Indio. I think right now will be great for Airbnb because the Coachella Fest is going to be on March.
right?
So Airbnb would be great for this
Perfect,
next couple of months. After that, will be like a 6-term rental, which is a low season, will be
right?
great. And then after March will be I don't know. I don't know. But right
Because
now I
this
think
is
will
where
be
you
great
gotta give
Airbnb.
well, this is where you gotta give consideration too. And I already know what the answer is. However, this is where you have to figure it out, right? So the amount that you're gonna make on the Airbnb, even within the first 3 months, it's gonna surpass what you're gonna obviously make if it was a regular rental, right? Is he okay with that when the slow season comes because it's not gonna be as consistent, right? Kind of have to put in the market to find out, or would he rather a more systemized, consistent base, regular rental, and not worry about it because that's consistent. You know exactly what you're going to get every month, and so on and so forth, right? Um, again, because of its location, if you know that the Airbnb is going to flop, then start.
Yanni, I think Jimmy has an Airbnb not too far from there. So
It's
you
in
may
Joshua
want to,
Tree. It's around 40 minutes away.
yeah,
Yeah.
you may want to connect with him as far as, this is a California market, like what Jean is saying, Airbnb, even if you only rent it for a few months during high peak season, it will
Okay.
cover the mortgage, more than cover the mortgage. So you need to do
The
the
whole year, yes.
analysis. You need
What
to
Okay.
do
city
the
are
analysis.
you, Danny?
It's in Indio. It's a
Huh?
4-bedroom house in Indio, and the Coachella Fest is in
It's in
like 10
California.
minutes. It's in California. No, it's South California.
Is it like upscale area or middle
No,
grade?
it's
Uh,
medium. It's medium.
no,
But if you
it's not San Diego. It's like desert
it's a
area.
desert area.
Yeah,
But
so
the
it's not
only high season is because of the events that happen in
because
the
of the
desert.
event. The Coachella is a very
The
popular
festival?
music fest.
Yeah, but the thing is also is the way that you market on the slow season will be different than obviously in the high season, right? The slow season will be marketed more as a peace and serenity whereas the high season, close to the event, doesn't take much to actually get it in there. But again, when you put all, because as the owner, what they need to see is, okay, what am I going to get? What's the end
Just an
result?
example, the place I was renting in Rancho Mirage was like 1,500, which
Uh,
is I think his mortgage was 1,200. He was renting it for 1,500 because of this season, February, March, and April. He rented it for 6,000.
Can I?
So that's what I mean. Only on these events kind of thing, you know. So I had to move out because of that. I'm like, I totally get it, you know, from 1,500 to 6,000, I would
yeah,
surely do that too, you know.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
one thing I'm not sure how it is over there, but like in New Orleans, it's happening. They're passing ordinances as to how many for the Airbnbs, because there's so many people who are starting to do it that then they're saying the neighborhoods are getting
Yeah,
compromised by.
in Palm Springs, it is a cap. In Rancho Mirage, there is a cap, but not in Coachella and Indio. There's no cap.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that. And in La Quinta, there's a cap, and in Joshua Tree also there's a cap because the structures are really low. So a lot of people are wanting to do like Jimmy's doing, and I think it's to 2,000 or so per city because it's a high desert. There's not a lot of buildings, but yeah, there is a
None.
cap in couple of cities, but not in all of them.
But what it sounds like so far is you have all the answers. You just have to wait to move forward.
I know. I think I'm just like a little bit nervous
No.
because it's
So
my first,
so
you know.
what we're
I
moving
know a
into,
lot of information and it's like a lot
yeah,
of people saying it's just about the doing part.
yeah. So I
Yeah,
think the doing
yeah.
part scares you because you've never done it. But you
Yes.
already have all the information. Listen, you would have told me that I would be managing 11 buildings. I'd be like, who? But I'm
I
doing it,
know.
and and now I'm actually giving advice on it. So you know, and so I gotta tell you, you already know all the information. Just put it to work.
But Yanni, you already have this is a perfect space for you to come and,
Yes.
learn and
Yeah.
like you're doing, you're asking the professionals like Jean, Charlie, Jimmy, you're asking them what to do. So this is if ever you need advice, this is the spot for you to come.
And they're available offline, with
Yeah.
that. After this, we need to, I think Charlie want to say something. Go ahead, Charlie.
I think my opinion on that is that two things, Yanni, you should do. You should maximize the potential of Coachella, the festival,
Mhm.
and also look at the rental market. What is it going for? And that way, you want to be competitive during those 6 months or 7 months where the season is is low. You just want to be under the market value so that you will have you will attract consistent tenants.
Mhm.
But in this from what I'm understanding, the product that you have and where you are, you have to monetize that potential of that festival, and also do the rental, for the 6-7 months to follow. You should
And
do
he
both.
yeah, go ahead. I said, put together the numbers, like the pros and cons, like the scenario for different situation. If you do the Airbnb and like what Charlie's saying, during slow season, what do you do? And then you also have people who are retired from the East Coast with the snow, who come snowbird, whatever you call it, to come for the warm weather in this area. So I
Exactly.
think you need to do an analysis and comparison, pros and cons.
That's correct. Because one thing you don't
I already experienced that. One of my bosses needed help in Utah. Oh my God. It was like 20 degrees. They told they were gonna be over -1 degrees. And I was like, I hope not, please, please. So the low was 21 degrees, but the snow was like almost to half of my knees, honestly. I was so freezing over here. Before I went, I was wearing jackets. Now look at me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I experienced that change,
Yeah.
and the desire of having warmth. As soon as the airplane was getting close to Palm Springs, and on the airplane I saw the sun. I was so happy to see sun versus a gloomy and dark and snowy type of day. Now I know why they come here.
That's it.
I
So
love that experience.
we're
Yeah.
glad to have you here, Yanni, but do we want to look into some of the properties that Charlie has at all or not?
Well, yeah, we could definitely look at it.
Well,
Um,
is this supposed, wasn't there supposed to be like a sliding thing like Jimmy does, like to show?
Yeah, well, there was.
That's what I'm saying, that are we, I mean, like, yeah, we're talking about, this is interesting, we're helping Yanni, but do we want to talk about any of the properties at all today or not? Go ahead, Mark.
No, I was gonna say, we got 15 minutes left, so I don't know. And
I
you
don't
were-
know, Charlie or Jean or whatever, what do you want to do? Staff, hi staff, how are you? Maybe
Do we-
Steph has something.
Do we want to kind of set an agenda in terms of how we're gonna progress since
Yeah,
this?
but the problem with the agenda is like depending on the people who
Yeah,
show up, like Jimmy, he has all his tools and analysis, and if he's not available, then we kind of not able
Yeah.
to do that part. So it's like,
So
How
Jimmy's the
do we
only
move
one that has
forward?
the information of the properties?
Yeah, so Jimmy
well,
has
yeah,
the
let's
slides, so
let's
we'll do a
let
presentation
Steph
for
say
it.
something here. Steph, go ahead.
About no, I mean, I came in late because I had some new tenants coming in and moving in, so it's kind of like so anyways, I don't know, I mean, if I guess if there are any properties, but in 15 minutes, because we do have only 15 minutes, so I'm not sure if we can cover everything.
Yeah, I think with the property that we discussed last time, we were supposed to get some more information because it was a proposal. We were supposed to find out if the owner accepted the proposal, and based on that, the details were supposed to be the things that we was gonna talk about to see the profit, if the numbers were where we wanted it to be or not.
I don't think Charlie presented the property. We were just talking last week. So
Yeah.
Charlie, where are you now?
Well, the owner is, he's definitely willing to do the deal. What he told me is that he would like to have an idea of at least have a certain amount of a down payment, if we're really serious about it. That was his suggestion to what he had. So I wanted
See,
to run.
that's, yeah.
I wanted to run that by
Yeah.
Jimmy and see how we can structure that.
I understand his concern. So what amount is he looking for?
He's open to an offer. That's why if we once Jimmy is here, we can run the numbers and see what's feasible, what's reasonable, and make sure that we crunch the numbers in a way that it will work for everybody.
Yeah, see,
But-
I think as an owner, like if I were the owner, I would want the same thing because it's like you don't
Yeah.
have any stake right now, all of us just getting together and talking, but there's
Exactly.
nothing, nobody's putting the money down or anything. So I understand the owner's concern. So we should
Right.
table the discussion on that for next week then until when Jimmy is here.
Exactly. But plus, you have even more properties that he's putting on the table. I mean, you're talking about, when I run the numbers, we can go all just the pure value, the base value, talking about $2 million worth of property that we will have in our hands accessible to us, because these are income generating properties, So
Yeah,
all what
and he's trying to build the trust. He trusts you, but he doesn't know this group. I totally I'm on board as far as like understand where he's coming from.
right.
Yeah,
Well,
have to build a relationship first.
Exactly.
all
You
right.
know, how is he to know that this is a real group or whatever? I mean, he knows Charlie, but that's it. But he's bringing in other people, so I get it.
Zero.
I mean, I think on the owner's aspect that they just focusing on the house. Are you really selling it? What's the problem? What's going on? How you doing it? What's going on? And you know, when you do creative financing, it's a little different and whatnot. And so when they're not used to it, it is a little scary. They all getting great benefits on it, but they really can't sit because on a common state, great benefit speaks monetary. So that's why a deposit makes it more comfortable.
That's
Right.
correct.
Yeah.
Having to find the right numbers that will sit well with him while we continue with the rest of it, because you got to think with us also, we had like $100 in difference that we're actually going to be making on it. So now what would the deposit be that would make sense for us? If it's only $100, that would be over for us on a monthly base. And then we decide the term, how long we want to do it for before we went ahead and pull the trigger and buy the property. And then, you know, so these details were the stuff that, of course, Jimmy has all the numbers that we have to crunch to kind of really commit on, okay, well, we could do this down payment because that makes sense, because these numbers along with those make sense. Or well, we can't because these numbers don't make sense, right? So unfortunately, we kind of need the other numbers to kind of put it all together to see what makes sense.
What property are you guys talking about?
So we oh, go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah, this is another option that, you know, again, we should really consider. Instead of if we have access to somebody who's going to finance the properties,
Yeah,
you know, instead of buying it for 150, the owner might take 100 right now, you
Right.
know, and let us run with that, you know. So that's another aspect of it, you know, to consider. That's why I wanted to talk to Jimmy and see, according to his relationships, whether if we can have a private lender, somebody who will come and just lend us some, you know, funding in a way that we will buy the property at a discounted price.
right.
That will give us a good base to start with. Now we have an asset now. Now we have a base. Now we can turn around and say, you know what? We have this property that's worth $125,000. We bought it for $100,000. You know, we have equity of $25,000 on it. Listen, can you lend us to go to our next property? You know,
Right.
and then just build the momentum from there. Now we have a momentum. Now we have something tangible. You see?
Yeah, we have that. But
So,
just to bring you up to date, it was a property that was that they found, and they had a creative financing on it where we'd be zero down, but we'd take it over, would adjust the rent, and we'd be making $100 a month on it. However, the term would be for 2 years, and then I think it was 2 years, something to that effect, and then
Yeah.
we would eventually buy the property. But within those 2 years, we'd be basically caring for the property and its, you know, obligations and whatnot. So they'd basically turn over the deed and whatnot. And so this way the owner would not be concerned or worry about making payments and so on and so forth. The headaches would be off his shoulders. Some creative financing. But what we left off last week was, well, we need to find out what the detailed numbers are to figure out what makes sense. And we also needed to make the proposal to the seller. And so we did, but we came back with, well, we probably needed a deposit.
correct.
Okay, so it wasn't none of the ones you sent on the messenger, because I think the only one that's more than like 1.3 million is the North Claiborne. The last three is less than 100,000, right? So it's different from the ones you sent on the messenger.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's only one that's above 1.3. The other ones is less than 100,000. I checked that.
I
Yeah.
don't think I get that messenger. I don't know what messenger you're
Maybe
talking about.
maybe
Sabinta sent one in the sale one is, I think, is the sale Cleveland and Galahad is less than 100,000, and the one in North Claiborne is 1.3 million. So when they say 2 million, I don't know which one they were talking about.
No. The North Claiborne is definitely
Different
less
one.
than
Okay.
We're talking about Salem.
Yeah.
Sale Street, sale.
Oh, sales, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the
that was
sales
the
ones.
discussion there. That was a good question. Yeah. So, well, we have to wait for um the numbers to kind of make further sense.
Can you
Um,
message Jimmy on privately, Charlie? I mean, you guys can talk about it after. I mean,
Yeah.
privately. I mean, the
No,
two
no.
of
I will
you guys talk
definitely.
about it and then see, you know, what to do.
is it
I will
just-
Sounds good. If Charlie, you can get in touch with Jimmy and run through the number, because since he can't be here all the time each week, you know,
Correct.
so it's like when Jimmy's not here, it's like we can't move on with the numbers. And I think if we want to move forward with this, we need to be able to do something when he's not here.
Right.
well, as we get more familiar with how the numbers work, because right now, because we are all also learning as well, it's important to see the slide for it to make sense, but eventually we'll get it. Yeah. Okay.
So I think with that, you know, we pretty much kind of cover what we wanted to do. And next week, you know, hopefully Jimmy show up, and then Charlie, you communicate with Jimmy in the meantime.
Yeah.
Then that way we can look at the property that we're interested in. I think is it sale? That's the one that we were talking about, to see if we, you know, and how much money. And of course, each person who wants to be part of this need to put in that portion, whatever,
Yeah.
however many people we divide it among, and go from there.
That's it.
Yeah, because we are on the first phase right now. Is financing. That's for me. That's the first structure. Once you pass the financing stage, everything else is just management. You know. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and even with the hard money lenders concept, somebody has to be willing to be the person who qualify again. You
Yeah.
know, either way, either we
Yeah.
split the money among the you know, deposit or down payment, or you get a hard money lender, but for that, somebody has to qualify for it. Same
Yeah,
thing.
Even with the hard money lending, really depending on the deal, and there are rare circumstances where they give you 100%, but they still don't give you 100%. So you know, there's still something that you have to put down. So how to divide that all together and stuff like that. But that I don't know that that's too big of a deal. I suppose that is choosing what we're gonna offer. Because even going to the hard money lending, you already know what you want, right? Because they'll ask you all the detail. Okay, well, what are the numbers? What is this? How does that
Yeah.
work? How does it has to be a good deal for
Mhm.
them to want to take it and want to get involved. And once they get into that, then okay, great, you move forward. But you have to know your numbers first. It might
Absolutely.
things here and there, but
Agree with you, Gene, but the thing about the hard money lender, even if they don't give the 100%, even if they only give 80%, you can ask the seller to carry
Yeah, of course.
20%, or
Of
you can even borrow hard money lender for the down payment,
Yeah.
you know, for 20%, and then have the seller just want to have money on the table. That's
Of
all.
course.
So
Of
you
course.
can get the money from hard money lender, and so this is still a zero down transaction. We just
Yeah.
need to talk about it to make sure that the deal is worth, you know, worth
And-
investing in. And if
Yeah.
it's going to, we think it's going to produce money, you know, because you have to calculate the holding time after you purchase. You need to know how long you think you can turn it around and sell it. So all of these stuff, I mean, I think you can still do a zero down and borrow the money for the down payment. You know,
Yeah.
so that those are some of the things we need to consider, but the number has to be attractive enough for us to go into it.
And by the way, that's actually one of the reasons why I was absolutely happy about the LLC, because you could build business credit for the LLC for stuff like this, where you could just use the credit to go ahead and do whatever down payment it is. Of course, after voting and agreeing on it, but you have it available, which is nice. And so that's where the growth comes into play, because, you know, when it comes down to needing capital, you have access to capital, which is nice.
Well, this is a learning process. As you build trust again with the lender and your credit is good for the LLC, you're
Yeah.
gonna get more credit. You're gonna
That's
get
it.
more money. So all of us here. This has been a good meeting, I think, even without Jimmy here. We will tell Jimmy, we had a good meeting without you. No, I'm just kidding.
We love you, Jimmy.
We love you, Jimmy. Just kidding.
Well,
We want you here. We need you.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
anyway, with that, we're at the top of the hour. You guys have anything else you want to share, or do we want to call it a day?
No, I
No.
just want to make a comment on the hard money lender, because I approached some of the people that I know, and there are a few hard money lenders, but they do not invest in New Orleans because of the constant floodings. So they said that we are not investing. But I did try an approach and said, hey, there are a few properties, but they said that we are not investing in there because of the floods. And some hard money lenders, they do, some they don't. So, but yeah, I did approach a few of them.
Good to know, Seth. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
No problem.
Again, I just want to say that the fundamental of this group is always our spirit, who we are, the friendship, the camaraderie. That's the fundamental of who we are. That's the foundation of this group. Everything else is extra. So for
Love
me,
that, Charlie.
so
We
being
just have
here.
to believe in it,
Yeah.
believe in what you're doing, believe, have faith.
I love that, Charlie. Thank you so much for that reminder. It's so true. We're here for the friendship and the camaraderie, how we got started and we decided to collaborate and help each other. And that's will continue to be our main principle for this group. And the rest is just icing on the cream, whatever you say.
I see what you mean.
Icing on the cake. I can't come up with that.
By the way, Binta, did you send me the stuff I wanted to support you on your file?
I did. I sent you the
did?
link. I think it
Okay.
was on Instagram, but I did send you the link.
Okay. On my email?
Yeah. Huh?
My email or through Instagram?
I sent it through into Instagram,
Okay.
but I can send it to you. I can text you separately later after.
Okay, that'll be perfect. That'll be
Yeah,
perfect.
thank you, Jean.
Are you kidding me? I'm gonna support you all the way through. Stop it.
Oh.
It doesn't even make no sense. What? I'm so proud of you.
Well, that's what Rini was talking about here, how we can always, we can support each other through all these groups that we, because everybody here, we all have businesses outside of
Yes.
what we are doing here. So for me, really, my goal is to be able to support, people. And that's why I'm going into a business so I can have finances to be able to support people.
Yes.
And believe me, if I can support anybody, I will be supporting all of you. But I'm just working.
We love that, Binta.
I'm working on it right now, so that I can.
See, I love the spirit of this group. Love you guys.
Exactly.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
love
guys.
you
Have a
guys.
nice week.
See you
Bye-bye.
next week.
Take care.
Bye-bye all.
Daddy,
Bye.
give me a shot if you want to talk some more, okay? But the property
Okay,
management.
bye-bye.